Hello, Jay here. There's been a handful of people asking about learning the notes on the fretboard. So I thought I'd come out and do a quick little lesson on how to practice that and a couple of little tricks you can use to expedite that process for you. First of all, learning the notes on the fretboard will definitely benefit you as a guitar player. For whatever reason, many guitar players put this task off for a long time. I did the same thing myself. And then once I finally learned them, I kicked myself. I was like, why didn't I do that sooner? This is such an eye-opener. So let's talk about a few little things that can kind of help make the task a little less daunting. And then we'll talk about ways to practice it. And yeah, we'll take it from there. So the first thing is, you probably already know this, but all of your open strings are exactly the same as all the fretted notes on the 12th fret. So anything above here, once you've learned 1 through 12, you don't have to worry about anymore. The second trick is, obviously, your low string and your high string are both E's. So everything on those two strings is the same all the way up. So there's two things right there that already take some of the daunting task out of it, right? And then the next thing is, utilize your octave shapes. This is something that's really going to help you be able to expedite learning the notes on the fretboard. So if you don't know what an octave is, basically it's two notes that are, if you were on a keyboard and you played C, and then you played whole steps all the way back up to C and played those two C's together, those two equal an octave. So they're 8 notes apart, one is higher than the other. If you have more questions about that, you can reach out to me. Also, in order to do this, obviously you need to know a little bit about your musical alphabet. So if you don't know about that, again, you can reach out to me and we can talk about that, but let's get into it here. Let's talk about our octave shapes, okay? So if this is E, I'm going to take my first finger and I'm going to play on my 4th string on my 2nd fret, play an E again. I play those two together. That's what an octave sounds like on the guitar. Now, that one's a little tricky because it's open, right? But the same thing happens on your A string, same voicing. So you have the A string open, and then on your 2nd fret, on your 3rd string, you play those two together, and you have A again. Okay. Now, the shape kind of changes a little bit when you get to the higher strings, which we'll talk about a little more here in just a second. But for now, let's understand how this shape works. On the low 2 strings, you're just going to need your 1st and your 3rd finger. So imagine that I was fingering below the nut here. That's what that would look like. Open and then fretted. Now if I move that up, that same shape, see how my fingers didn't actually move, but I just shifted where they're at on the fretboard. So now what I'm doing is I got my 1st finger on 6th string, fret 1, and my 3rd finger on 4th string, fret 3. I play those two together and I have an F. Now I know, okay, now I can just count up chromatically if you know how to do that from your musical alphabet. And now not only am I seeing the notes on the fretboard from my low string, but I'm seeing the notes on the fretboard from my 4th string as well. So then I can just kind of count these up a little bit and sort of take it from there. A sharp, B, C, D, E, D sharp, E. So you can go chromatically up that way. Now, what I've done here is I can do this, and the way that I suggest practicing this is go through these chromatically, and as you're doing it, look at your 3rd finger and just tell yourself, okay, fret 3, 4th string is F, and then go up and go fret 4, 4th string, F sharp, fret 5, 4th string, G, and so on. Do the same thing with your 1st finger until you kind of start to know them. Then you do it with that same shape, and you just transpose it up a string set, and you can do the same thing. So now we're on string 5, fret 1, and string 3, fret 3. So this is B flat. And then you go up to B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A. Same deal, you want to learn those all the way up. And then this is where our octave shape changes just a little bit. So now we're going to take our 1st finger and our elusive pinky finger, okay? And we're going to go ahead and play the octave there. I'll show you how that works. So, what we're going to do, we're going to start on fret 1 with our first finger on string 4. And then we're going to take our pinky finger all the way up on string 2 on fret 4. And now we have another octave shape. Now this one's a little harder to play, but if you notice, I've already learned the notes on string 3 when I did my octave shape on my low string. So now I can do this, and I tell myself I just have to focus on my second string. So now I see this, I say, okay, this is a D sharp or E flat, and I count up chromatically. E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, all the way up again, right? Now you do that exact same shape on your third string and your first string. But if you notice, we've already learned the notes on our first string because it's exactly the same as our low string. So now we have it repeating again. So this time all I have to think about is what my first finger is doing. But again, it's that same shape there. There's a string in the middle and there's 2 frets in between them, okay? These octaves, by the way, are actually very handy to be able to play. You can learn lots of songs and lots of riffs and add some really cool stuff to your playing by knowing those octaves. So, step 1, obviously you need to know your musical alphabet, you need to know how to play an octave, and you need to be able to count those up, all the way up. And once you've kind of done that and you got that under your fingers a little bit, the way that I would like to practice this, and the way that I did practice it when I learned it, is I would just go through my musical alphabet. I always start on E, and I would say, okay, E. And then what I do is I play E on each string going up. So I play E, E, right? And then I go to my 5th string, and I find my E's, and I go, okay, I have an E there. Cool. So now I got E, E, E. Then I'm going to go to my next string, my 4th string, and I have E right there, and then I have another E way up here, which we don't really need because they repeat. And then I'm going to go to my 3rd string and find my E, which is here because of my octave, right? And then that's the only one unless I go way higher. So that's easy. Then I go to my 2nd string and I think, okay, where's my E on my 2nd string? Well, I know that this is E on my 4th string. Where's my octave at? Okay, there it is. So there's E on that string. And then I'm back to my 1st string and I know that that's E and this is E because it's the same as my low string, right? So then I'll go to my F and I'll do the same thing. I'll find those notes all the way across the fretboard. So I say, okay, F. F here. Next string, I have F here, right? Your 5th and your 6th strings, you kind of just got to learn where they are. That just takes a little bit of monotonous memorizing. But once you got that together, then it kind of becomes a little bit easier because you can work with your octaves from there. So again, F, F, right? And then I think, okay, I had this F, so where's my next F on my 4th string? Well, I can use my octave from my 6th string and find it. Boom, there we go. Now I'm up to my 3rd string and I'm looking for F. Same deal, I use my octave here because I know where this F is. Then I find it there. And then the process just repeats. You have your octave game right here for my 2nd string. I've got to find my F, so I know where this F is because of my octaves. So then I can find my 2nd string F, right? And then you know that your 1st string is exactly the same as your 6th string, so you've repeated again. So this is kind of the technique that I use and the technique that I recommend for learning the notes across the fretboard. And if you just do that a little bit each day, like just once a day you go through and you say, okay, today I'm just going to take E through G. And then you go E, 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 E. You find all of your E's, you know? And then you go up to your F's and you do the same thing. Just find it on each string. And then after a while, as you get better at it, you can start doing it with a metronome and stuff. And then after a few weeks of practice, you'll find that, boom, all of a sudden all the notes on the fretboard are really popping out to you. So that's super cool. Hopefully this helps you guys out just a little bit.